Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered if everything we've been told about the moon is true? For decades, NASA has spent over $25 billion on lunar missions. Yet some of the most baffling discoveries from 1969 to 1972 have been quietly swept under the rug. Today, we're diving into 5 moon theories that sound like science fiction, but are backed by surprising evidence that mainstream science can't easily explain. What if I told you that seismic experiments conducted during the Apollo missions in 1970 caused the moon to ring like a bell for over 3 hours? Or that lunar rocks contain elements with isotopic compositions so unusual they've left geologists scratching their heads since their discovery? These aren't just random internet rumors. These are documented anomalies that challenge our fundamental understanding of the moon's origin and nature. By the end of this video, you'll have the facts to decide for yourself whether the moon is simply a natural satellite or something far more extraordinary. We'll examine everything from the mathematical improbability of perfect solar eclipses to the strange electromagnetic readings that have puzzled scientists for over 50 years. Are you ready to question everything you thought you knew about our closest celestial neighbor? If you find this content fascinating and want to uncover more hidden truths about our universe, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue digging deeper into the mysteries that others ignore, and we've got plenty more revelations coming your way. The first theory we're exploring today is perhaps the most mind-bending of all, the hollow moon theory. This isn't some new internet fad. It actually dates back to the 1970s when 2 Russian scientists, Mikhail Vasin and Alexander Sherbakov, published an article in the Soviet journal Sputnik suggesting the moon might be an artificial satellite. Their hypothesis was that the moon is a hollowed-out planetoid, possibly created by advanced beings and placed into Earth's orbit for reasons unknown. So what evidence supports this seemingly outlandish claim? Let's start with the seismic experiments conducted during the Apollo missions. On November 20th, 1969, the Apollo 12 crew intentionally crashed the lunar module ascent stage into the moon, creating an impact equivalent to about 1 ton of TNT. The result? The moon vibrated like a bell for over 3 hours. This wasn't an isolated incident either. During Apollo 13, the third stage of the Saturn V rocket was crashed into the moon, causing it to reverberate for another 3 hours. For comparison, if you were to strike a solid object like a rock with similar force, the vibrations would last mere seconds, not hours. Then there's the density of the moon. Despite its size, about 27%, the diameter of Earth, the moon has only about 1.2% of Earth's mass. This unusually low density has led some researchers to speculate that large portions of the moon's interior might be hollow. In 1962, NASA scientist Dr. Gordon MacDonald stated, "If the astronomical data are reduced, it is found that the data require that the interior of the moon is more like a hollow than a homogeneous sphere." But perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from the moon's gravitational field. Unlike Earth, which has a relatively uniform gravitational pull, the moon has what scientists call mascons mass concentrations that create significant gravitational anomalies. These mascons are so pronounced that they caused early lunar orbiters to deviate from their expected trajectories, forcing NASA to make constant adjustments. Some theorists suggest these mascons could be evidence of artificial structures or machinery within the moon. Of course, mainstream scientists have explanations for these phenomena. They argue that the moon's prolonged vibrations are due to its dry, fractured crust, which allows seismic waves to travel differently than they would on Earth. The low density, they say, is simply because the moon has a smaller iron core relative to its size compared to Earth. As for the mascons, these are explained as dense regions formed by ancient asteroid impacts that brought heavy materials closer to the surface. So is the moon really hollow? Probably not in the way the theory suggests, but the anomalies are real, and they do raise legitimate questions about our understanding of lunar formation and composition. As we'll see throughout this video, the moon continues to surprise us with its peculiarities, challenging our assumptions and forcing us to reconsider what we think we know about our closest celestial neighbor. Building on the hollow moon concept, our second theory takes things a step further by proposing that the moon isn't just hollow, it's actually an artificial construct created by intelligent beings. This theory, which has gained significant traction in alternative research circles, suggests that the moon was deliberately placed in Earth's orbit by advanced civilizations, either as an observation post, a stabilizing device, or something even more extraordinary. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence cited by proponents of this theory is the moon's precise orbit and size relative to Earth. The moon is approximately 238,855 miles from Earth, and it's about 2,159 miles in diameter. These dimensions create a series of remarkable coincidences that seem almost too perfect to be natural. For instance, the moon is exactly the right distance and size to create total solar eclipses. The sun is about 400 times larger than the moon, but it's also approximately 400 times farther away. This means that during a total solar eclipse, the moon perfectly covers the sun's disk, allowing us to see the sun's corona. The mathematical probability of this happening by chance is astronomically low. Another fascinating aspect of this theory relates to the moon's composition. When Apollo astronauts brought back lunar samples, scientists discovered that the moon rocks contained elements with isotopic compositions that were nearly identical to those found on Earth, yet the moon itself lacks many of the heavy elements that are abundant on our planet. This has led some researchers to suggest that the moon might have been constructed using materials from Earth, or vice versa. Perhaps the most intriguing proponent of the artificial moon theory was George Leonard, who in 1976 published a book titled Somebody Else is on the Moon. Leonard, who claimed to have connections within NASA, presented hundreds of NASA photographs that he believed showed evidence of artificial structures, mining operations, and even spacecraft on the lunar surface. While many of his claims have been debunked or explained as optical illusions, some of the images he presented remain genuinely puzzling. More recently, researchers have pointed to the presence of what appear to be artificial structures in lunar craters, visible in both Apollo photographs and more recent high-resolution images from NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. These structures, which some claim show geometric patterns and right angles that wouldn't occur naturally, have fueled speculation about their origin. The artificial moon theory also gains support from ancient myths and texts from around the world. Many ancient cultures describe a time before the moon existed in the sky. For example, Greek philosophers Aristotle and Plutarch wrote about pre-lunar societies, while the Zulu people of Africa have oral traditions that describe how the moon was brought to Earth by two brothers who were alien beings. Similarly, ancient Sumerian texts refer to a time when there was no moon, and some interpretations suggest that the moon was deliberately placed in orbit around 12,000 BCE. From a scientific perspective, the artificial moon theory faces significant challenges. The prevailing explanation for the moon's origin is the giant impact hypothesis, which suggests that the moon formed from debris created when a Mars-sized object collided with Earth about 4.5 billion years ago. This theory explains many of the moon's characteristics, including its composition and the fact that it always shows the same face to Earth, a phenomenon known as tidal locking. However, even the giant impact hypothesis has its problems. For instance, it doesn't fully explain why the moon's isotopic composition is so similar to Earth's, nor does it account for some of the unusual elements found in lunar samples. These gaps in our understanding have kept the artificial moon theory alive in alternative research circles. Whether the moon is a natural satellite or an artificial construct, one thing is certain: it continues to defy easy explanation. As we'll see in the next sections, there are many more mysteries surrounding our celestial neighbor that challenge our understanding and force us to question what we think we know. Moving beyond theories about the moon's physical nature, our third mystery delves into the possibility that the moon might be inhabited or at least regularly visited by extraterrestrial beings. This theory is just the stuff of science fiction. It has been seriously considered by astronauts, scientists, and government officials over the decades. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence for this theory comes from the Apollo missions themselves. During the Apollo 11 mission in 1969, astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin reported seeing unidentified objects on the lunar surface. In a purportedly leaked transcript, Armstrong is quoted as saying, "These babies are huge, sir. Enormous. Oh God, you wouldn't believe it. I'm telling you, there are other spacecraft out there, lined up on the far side of the crater edge. They're on the moon watching us." While NASA has never confirmed the authenticity of this transcript, similar claims have been made by other astronauts. Edgar Mitchell, the sixth person to walk on the moon during the Apollo 14 mission in 1971, became an outspoken advocate for the existence of extraterrestrial life. In numerous interviews, Mitchell stated that he had been briefed on the reality of UFOs and that governments around the world had been covering up evidence of alien visitation for decades. "We have been visited on this planet, and the UFO phenomenon is real," Mitchell said in a 2009 interview. "It's been well covered up by all our governments for the last 60 years or so, but it's not just astronauts who have made these claims." In 1976, a book titled Our Mysterious Spaceship Moon by author Don Wilson proposed that the moon was actually a giant spaceship created by aliens and placed in Earth's orbit. Wilson cited numerous anomalies in lunar photographs, including what appeared to be dome-like structures, towers, and even what looked like machinery on the lunar surface. While many of these have been explained as natural formations or photographic artifacts, some remain unexplained to this day. Perhaps the most famous alleged evidence of alien activity on the moon comes from a series of photographs taken during the Apollo 15 mission in 1971. These images show what appears to be a strange object, somewhat resembling a spaceship or satellite, on the lunar surface. The object, which has been dubbed the Shard by UFO researchers, appears to be casting a shadow and standing vertically above the surface. NASA has never provided a satisfactory explanation for what the object might be. More recently, researchers have pointed to unusual lights and phenomena observed on the lunar surface. In 1953, astronomers noted a series of bright flashes on the moon, which they initially attributed to meteor impacts. However, the regularity and pattern of these flashes suggested something more organized. Similar phenomena were observed during the Apollo missions, with astronauts reporting strange lights and moving objects that couldn't be easily explained. The idea of alien inhabitants on the moon also gained support from ancient texts and artwork. Many ancient cultures depicted the moon as a realm of gods or supernatural beings. For instance, in Sumerian mythology, the moon god Nana was said to reside in a celestial dwelling. Similarly, in ancient Egyptian mythology, the god Thoth was associated with the moon and was believed to possess knowledge beyond human understanding. These ancient beliefs, when combined with modern sightings and anomalies, paint a compelling picture of a moon that may be far more than just a lifeless rock orbiting our planet. Our fourth lunar mystery takes us into the realm of electromagnetic anomalies and strange energy readings that have puzzled scientists for decades. Since the beginning of lunar exploration, numerous instruments have detected unusual electromagnetic activity on and around the moon that defies conventional explanation. One of the most puzzling discoveries came during the Apollo missions when astronauts deployed magnetometers on the lunar surface. These instruments detected weak magnetic fields in certain regions of the moon, which was unexpected, given that the moon lacks a global magnetic field like Earth's. What's even stranger is that these localized magnetic fields appear to be stronger in areas with younger surface features, suggesting they might not be remnants of an ancient global field, as some scientists propose. In 1972, the Apollo 16 mission carried a far ultraviolet camera spectrograph to the lunar surface, which detected a strange glow around the moon that extended thousands of kilometers above the surface. This phenomenon, which came to be known as the lunar horizon glow, was initially thought to be caused by sunlight scattering off dust particles. However, the intensity and distribution of the glow didn't match theoretical predictions, leading some researchers to propose alternative explanations involving electromagnetic interactions or even technological activity. Perhaps the most bizarre electromagnetic anomaly was detected in 1979 by the International Sun-Earth Explorer IC-3 spacecraft. As it passed by the Moon, the spacecraft detected a narrow band of electromagnetic radiation at 30 megahertz that seemed to be emanating from the lunar surface. This was particularly puzzling because natural sources of electromagnetic radiation at this frequency are extremely rare in space. Some researchers have suggested that this could be evidence of artificial transmissions, though no definitive explanation has been accepted by the scientific community. More recently, in 2006, the European Space Agency's Smart 1 spacecraft detected unusual electric fields above the lunar surface during its mission. These fields were much stronger than expected and seemed to be concentrated in certain regions, particularly around the lunar poles. Some scientists have proposed that these electric fields might be related to the interaction between the solar wind and the lunar surface, but the exact mechanism remains unclear. The Moon also exhibits strange behavior when it comes to reflecting radio waves. During the 1940s and 1950s, radio operators noticed that signals bounced off the Moon were sometimes stronger than they should have been based on the Moon's known reflective properties. This phenomenon, known as lunar radio echoes, has never been fully explained, though some researchers have suggested it might be related to subsurface structures or even artificial installations. In addition to these electromagnetic anomalies, there have been numerous reports of transient lunar phenomena (TLPs) over the years. These are short-lived changes in the appearance of the lunar surface, including unusual colorations, bright flashes, and obscuring hazes. Between 1540 and 1967, over 570 such events were documented by professional and amateur astronomers alike. While some of these can be explained by meteor impacts or outgassing events, many remain unexplained. One particularly intriguing series of TLPs occurred in the Alphonsus crater on July 19, 1969, just days before the Apollo 11 landing. Multiple observers reported reddish glows within the crater, which were later confirmed by spectroscopic analysis to contain emissions consistent with ionized gas. While NASA initially suggested these might be related to volcanic activity, the Moon is believed to be geologically inactive, making this explanation problematic. These electromagnetic anomalies and transient phenomena suggest that there may be more to the Moon than meets the eye. Whether they're evidence of alien technology, unknown natural processes, or something else entirely, they represent genuine mysteries that continue to baffle scientists and researchers to this day. Our fifth and final lunar mystery takes us into the realm of what some researchers call lunar archaeology, the study of possible artificial structures and artifacts on the Moon that might indicate the presence of ancient or advanced civilizations. While this field is highly controversial and often dismissed by mainstream scientists, there are enough anomalies and peculiarities to warrant serious consideration. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence for lunar archaeology comes from photographs taken during the Apollo missions. In numerous images, there are what appear to be geometric structures, straight lines, and right angles that wouldn't typically form through natural geological processes. For example, in photographs of the lunar crater Oort, taken during the Apollo 10 mission in 1969, there appears to be a triangular structure with perfectly straight sides, each measuring approximately 16 miles in length. Natural geological processes rarely produce such perfect geometric shapes, especially on this scale. Another intriguing feature is what some researchers call the shard, photographed during the Apollo 15 mission in 1971. This object appears to be a tower-like structure rising approximately 1.5 miles above the lunar surface near the Lobachevsky crater. The object casts a clear shadow and appears to have a regular geometric shape that is inconsistent with natural rock formations. NASA has never provided a satisfactory explanation for this object. Perhaps the most famous alleged lunar structure is the Blair Cuspids, a series of 7-pointed objects arranged in a geometric pattern, photographed by the Lunar Orbiter 2 in 1966. These objects, which range in height from 200 to 750 feet, cast shadows that indicate they are standing vertically above the lunar surface. When the image was enhanced by NASA contractor William Blair, he concluded that the objects appeared to be arranged in a pattern consistent with intelligent design rather than random natural formation. In addition to these photographic anomalies, there are numerous reports of unusual surface features that suggest possible artificial modification. For instance, in the lunar crater Kepler, there are what appear to be terraced steps that resemble those found in ancient earthworks or archaeological sites. Similarly, in the crater Paracelsus C, there is a formation that resembles a bridge or arch spanning a ravine, which would be highly unusual for a natural formation. The moon's far side, which is never visible from Earth, has also yielded its share of mysteries. In 2012, an amateur analyst examining images from NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter discovered what appeared to be a rectangular structure partially buried in a crater near the lunar South Pole. The object, which measures approximately 300 feet by 200 feet, shows clear right angles and straight edges that are difficult to explain through natural geological processes. Perhaps the most intriguing evidence for lunar archaeology comes from the analysis of lunar samples brought back by the Apollo missions. In 1972, a team of researchers led by Dr. Norman Berggren examined dust particles from the moon and found what appeared to be microscopic structures resembling manufactured components. These objects, which were only a few micrometers in size, showed remarkable symmetry and precision that seemed inconsistent with natural formation processes. Another puzzling discovery came in 2009 when India's Chandrayaan-1 mission detected evidence of water molecules on the lunar surface. While this in itself isn't necessarily evidence of artificial activity, the distribution of these water molecules was unusual, with higher concentrations in certain regions that didn't correlate with known geological features. Some researchers have suggested that this pattern might indicate intentional water placement or management by an intelligent civilization. The idea of ancient lunar civilizations isn't new. In 1966, astronomers Carl Sagan and I.S. Shklovsky speculated in their book Intelligent Life in the Universe that the moon might contain evidence of extraterrestrial visitation in the form of artifacts or structures. They suggested that such evidence might be found in the form of unusual surface features or objects that couldn't be explained by natural processes. More recently, researchers like Richard Hoagland and Mike Barra have proposed that there is evidence of ancient glass-like structures on the moon that might be the remnants of a technologically advanced civilization. They point to photographs showing what appear to be translucent or reflective domes and towers, particularly in the crater Aristarchus, which has long been a hotspot for unusual lunar phenomena. While mainstream science remains skeptical of these claims, the sheer number of anomalies and unexplained features on the moon suggests that there may be more to our celestial neighbor than we currently understand. Whether these are evidence of ancient civilizations, alien visitation, or simply unknown natural processes, they represent genuine mysteries that continue to fascinate researchers and enthusiasts alike. As we've seen throughout this video, the moon is far more mysterious and complex than most people realize. From theories about it being hollow or artificially constructed, to evidence of possible alien inhabitants and electromagnetic anomalies, our celestial neighbor continues to challenge our understanding and defy easy explanation. What's particularly fascinating is how these theories, while often dismissed by mainstream science, are supported by real data and observations that can't be easily explained away. The moon's unusual seismic behavior, its perfect eclipse fit, the strange electromagnetic readings, and the numerous photographic anomalies all point to something extraordinary about our lunar companion. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of these mysteries is how they connect to ancient human knowledge and mythology. Cultures around the world have long regarded the moon with reverence and awe, often attributing to it powers and significance that modern science has only begun to appreciate. Whether these ancient traditions contain fragments of lost knowledge about the moon's true nature is a question that remains open to speculation. As we continue to explore the moon with increasingly sophisticated technology, it's likely that we'll uncover even more mysteries that challenge our understanding. NASA's Artemis program, which aims to return humans to the moon by 2025, may provide opportunities to investigate some of these anomalies firsthand. Who knows what we might discover when we once again set foot on the lunar surface? In the meantime, these 5 theories: the hollow moon theory, the artificial moon theory, the moon's alien inhabitants, electromagnetic anomalies, and lunar archaeology offer us a framework for questioning our assumptions about the moon and considering possibilities that lie beyond conventional scientific thinking. Whether you find these theories compelling or far-fetched, there's no denying that the moon continues to captivate our imagination and inspire us to look beyond the ordinary. In a universe that is stranger and more complex than we can possibly imagine, perhaps it shouldn't surprise us that our closest celestial neighbor holds so many secrets. The next time you look up at the moon, take a moment to consider the possibility that it might be more than just a lifeless rock orbiting our planet. It might be a hollow spacecraft, an artificial satellite, an alien outpost, or something else entirely that we haven't yet imagined. The truth, as they say, is often stranger than fiction, and when it comes to the moon, the truth may be stranger than we can possibly conceive. As we conclude our exploration of these lunar mysteries, remember that science is not about having all the answers, it's about asking the right questions and being open to possibilities that challenge our understanding. The moon has been asking us questions for millennia, and perhaps it's time we started listening more carefully to what it's trying to tell us.